So one topic I've not gone into detail yet on this channel is what the Packers should do with the fifth-year option, because there are two guys who are eligible, Quay Walker and Devonte Wyatt. They're both first-rounders. They both now finished their first 3 seasons in the league. So the Packers have to decide if they want to give the fifth-year option to either of them or none of them. They can use one fifth-year option. So when we look at this, Quay Walker was picked with the 22nd overall pick, which was the pick received from the Devontae Adams trade. The Packers picked Quay at 22 and then picked Devonte Wyatt at 28. And so when we look at both of these guys, I think that Quay Walker started to play a lot better football down the stretch this season. And I think when you look at some of the comments from Brian Gutekunst about both of these players, I'm pretty convinced that he wants them to be around for the long term. I don't feel like either of these guys are players that are going to play out their rookie contract and then go away in free agency. I think that the Packers are going to secure Quay and Devontae at some point for the long term. And so here's a quote which I think gives what Brian Gutekunst is really thinking here from his end of season press conference. He said, "We're super fired up about those guys' seasons this year, about Quay and Devonte Wyatt. Both of them dealt with some injuries and was really proud of how they attacked those and played through some things this year. But I think both those guys had their best years as pros so far." He also adds, "I think Quay continued to make a leap, and he's another guy who had struggled through injuries at the end of the year, but he was really impactful for us this year. Continues to be a great leader for us. Certainly think we would love to have him around here for longer than just a couple more years. He's that kind of guy. And DY was probably our most consistent pass rusher from the inside this year." So Gutekunst is saying they want to have him around for longer than just a couple of years. And so when we look at the fact that Quay Walker started to play a lot better football, it really felt like he just really started to develop into the guy that I think the Packers had hoped he could be in Jeff Hafley's offense or Jeff Hafley's defense, later in the year. And unfortunately, he went down with an injury, missed the last few games of the regular season. But I think that we've seen him take that leap. Devonte Wyatt, he was the 11th. He had the 11th highest pass rush win rate among defensive linemen at 12.9%, and that's guys with at least 100 snaps per PFF. And unfortunately, he played in 200 less snaps in 2024 than 2023 because of different injuries. In his first 3 games, he had 3 sacks before injuring his ankle in week 4, then missed the next few weeks. But Devonte Wyatt, I think that he is going to be, a top 10, top 15 interior pass rusher for a long time, for the next few seasons at least. And so I think both of these guys, the Packers are going to keep here for the long haul. Now the question is, how do they go about doing this? When you look at the fifth-year option and how much it's going to cost here, I think it does make more sense to give it to Devonte Wyatt. Here it is from Paul Brettel of ESPN Lacrosse. He says, as of now, Over the Cap is projecting that Walker's fifth-year option will pay him $16.06 million in 2026, and Wyatt would earn $13.09 million. Since those are one-year deals, those amounts are what each player's cap hit would be as well, since there aren't additional years to push any cap charges to. So it'll be cheaper to keep Wyatt on the fifth-year option at $13 million than Quay Walker at $16 million. And considering interior defensive linemen make way more money than linebackers, I think that the easy decision here is to give Devonte Wyatt the tag. If you look at top interior defensive linemen, the top one is Chris Jones at $31.75 million per year. And there are 14 different guys who make $20 million plus on the interior of the defensive line. If you look at linebackers, this is not including edge rushers, so this is just, mostly middle linebackers. Top linebacker, Roquan Smith at $20 million per year, so $11.75 million less than the top interior defensive lineman. And only 3 linebackers are making over $15 million per year. And so the fact that you are getting Devonte Wyatt at $13 million, the highest paid interior lineman, $31.75 million, that's nearly almost $20 million less than the top D lineman, and you're getting that for Devonte Wyatt. If you were to give Quay the fifth-year option, that's only $4 million off of the top linebacker. So I think the easy decision is give Devonte Wyatt the fifth-year option, and I think that's what they're going to do. And I'm also going to predict here that the Packers are going to secure Quay Walker for the long term and give him an extension this year. I think that clearly Brian Gutekunst likes him. He likes what he saw from both of these guys. I think the plan is for them to be here for the long haul. And so I think instead of allowing Quay to be a free agent next year. I think they'll secure him now, and I think they could probably pay him close to $15 million per year, and I think that would be a fine number for Quay Walker. And I think if you're Quay Walker, I think it would be smart to take the deal, because if you do have a down year in 2026, he could make less money, but I think the Packers could also get a discount where they don't have to pay him, record-breaking numbers at $20 million a year for linebacker. So I could see $10 to $15 million per year for Quay Walker, and I think the Packers should extend him, and I think they will. So that's sort of my thoughts there on that whole situation. If you want more Packers content, feel free to subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys next time.